Please join me in welcoming Regent Connie Niva to the podium.
Vice Chancellor Schmeling, Interim Chancellor Valanda, distinguished faculty, fellow alums, loving and relieved parents, grandparents, spouses, children, partners, families, and all the friends who have made this possible today, and above all to the Washington State University class of 2011, my congratulations and well done. As a mom of 4 college graduates, I have to say this is the best belated Mother's Day present you'll ever get. Better than all those burnt toast breakfasts and those soggy pancakes you had to eat in bed served by your children. And for you graduating students who are moms and dads yourselves, my family knows how yours may feel today when I obtained a master's degree when I was 53. If you listen closely, you can hear all those sighs of relief out in this audience today. Graduates young and old, I celebrate your accomplishments, and I share every emotion, every tingle of excitement. This day is beyond special in your lives. This is my 4th graduation for this period for the class of 2011, 3 having been in Pullman. I even get a tingle today. It's just such an exciting time. Regrettably, I don't stand here to promise you a job, and I certainly don't stand here to promise you a great Cougar football team. But I do guarantee you have the ability to approach all life's opportunities, challenging as they may be, in a concerted effort to achieve. In short, to dare to do anything. Delivering a commencement address is a great responsibility, or so I thought, till I cast my mind back to my own graduation in 1962, and no, dinosaurs did not prowl the earth in that year. The commencement speaker that day was the distinguished reporter and commentator, Edward R. Murrow. Reflecting on his speech has helped me enormously in writing this one, because it turns out that I can't remember a single word that he said. This liberating discovery enables me to proceed without any fear that I might inadvertently influence you to abandon a career in business, the law, technology, education, or politics, for God forbid the giddy thrills of joining the circus. What can I say to people who know almost everything? There was a time when I surely knew everything when I graduated from college. After writing down the sum of all my information in microbiology, chemistry, philosophy, and such others in Blue Book exams. I don't know if you have Blue Book exams anymore, but we did, in research papers. But all that work must have depleted my resources because decades have passed, 5 to be exact, and now as often as not completely, but surprised to discover how much I still don't know. Looking back, I can see that I gradually absorbed insights over time, similar to that old progression from information to knowledge to judgment and finally wisdom. But wisdom seems to be like frequent flyer miles. If it does accumulate, it happens rather incidentally while you're doing something else. All I can say to you regarding the accumulation of wisdom is to lead a healthy life, obey the laws, and pay your taxes, and at the very least, this will improve your odds of getting old in order to be wise. Last week, I asked my youngest son what I should talk to you about. He is a husky, but somehow still a decent human being. And he said, because he doesn't know everything either, he said to talk about myself. Well, after thinking about that, I've been around a long time, and I knew the most important thing was to keep this short, because you're probably already in the middle of a party, you're certainly going to have one tonight. But I decided instead that I knew it needed to be short. But I decided not to just congratulate you on your success, but remind you of some of the challenges that exist in this century, this chapter of history where we find ourselves today. And in the process, I may even suggest that you have some responsibilities in that world. Let me propose to you just a few of the global and current concerns that you no doubt have touched upon in your studies here at Vancouver. First, I read last week in a USA Today article that we are a world at war. ravaged by disagreements, a bizarrely globalized people in which the extravagant excesses of one culture wash up as famine or flood on the shores of another. 20 years ago, climate scientists first told Congress that unlimited carbon emissions were building toward a disastrous instability. Congress said, "We need to think about that." 10 years later, nations of the world wrote the Kyoto Protocol, and the US said, "We need to think about that." And it appears that we are still thinking about it. As glaciers melt and species are stressed, it is an emergency on a scale we have never known. We must either shift away from a carbon-based economy or go home and put a really big lock on the door, which of course solves nothing in our one-world ecological existence. In my view, this will be a central question of your adult lives. No longer just a distant, abstract scenario, humanity now faces an uncertain future of food, water, and energy shortages. Second, something that should be near to your heart, particularly today, a college education is only going to get harder to get and obviously more expensive. You and your families may have sacrificed to get here today, no doubt, but it's only going to get more difficult in the future. Will only the wealthy be able to attend college as we know it? Nearly 2,500 years ago, Socrates said, "The single most important thing for the state is the education if it's young. If it fails in that, nothing else will matter." The state of Washington, like many governmental entities, is certainly ignoring this critical engine of the future, which in the past has embodied the big ideas that have brought us the prosperity we have enjoyed since the Second World War. The GI Bill even let the poor attend college for free, and Sputnik, launched by Russia, caught the attention of Americans, encouraged our government to begin funding science and engineering. The current budget about to be passed in Olympia gets WSU in the next biennium at least $112 million and maybe more. And tuition, you've probably been reading about this and thinking about it, could increase anywhere from 13 to 16% or potentially more on various campuses in the state. That amounts to a whopping 50% budget reduction in the last 4 years. You may ask, well, is WSU actually spending more money? And they are not. The expenditures of WSU have not gone up for 20 years, not appreciably. What is happening is that the burden has been shifted from the state to the student. What are they thinking? What does that mean for the future of the United States and the future of your families? And finally, an issue of deep concern to me beyond the wars in the Middle East, in which we are currently engaged. There's a war in Washington, D.C., and I'm sure you're all aware of that. There are radically contrasting attitudes about America and its position in the world that shape the polarization at the center of today's politics. The fundamental questions that divide left and right nearly everywhere concern assessments of the United States. Is American democracy and capitalism a gift to the world? Should the U.S. continue to lead the world, assuming it has all the answers? Or would the planet benefit from Americans more modestly learning from societies other than those of North America? Policymakers are torn between the familiar policies of the past and demands of a rapidly changing world. Is America exceptional? It's a question people are asking. Or in our blindness, do we risk becoming a second-rate nation? It's critical that you graduates weigh in on these important issues and help out, sort out what government's proper role will be, specifically to the United States. Be an engaged citizen. Insist we fight the right wars. Bob Gates, Secretary of Defense, gave an outstanding commencement address last week in Pullman. He encouraged graduates to consider public service as a noble profession. But wherever you land, participate and help convince your government that the real threats to the United States come from within. Lincoln stated that many years ago. Governments often forget. Do not let your government outsource honesty, transparency, or candor. Don't let your government outsource democracy. Your educated generation will have to help stem that decline and repair any damage that's already been done. It's not going to be easy. And while much of the media world descends into shout-fests and outlandish opinion saturates the blogosphere, please don't let the widening political divide hijack your dreams or weaken intellectual rigor that you learned here. There are some very famous people who are saying some very silly things out there. things that are just plain wrong. Because facts matter, and while you may be entitled to your own opinion, you are not entitled to your own facts. There are standards of truth, and we must demand nothing else. This is the world you're inheriting, and frankly, I wish my generation and the baby boomers were leaving you something better. Some of you are millennials, and many of you were called the Bin Laden generation. And many of you, and you're often ridiculed for excessive self-centeredness, assertiveness, or unflagging positive attitudes, which actually is a pretty good thing. But only you, with your YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter accounts, know how to turn that social media to solving problems, as we all recently saw in the democratic uprisings in Cairo. You have every opportunity and need to be citizens of the world with a deep understanding of the world beyond our borders. It is simply astounding that 1 in 4 Americans has not read a book since graduating from college. Make sure you don't join that statistic. You need to be absolutely paranoid about the currency of your knowledge and ask yourself every day, am I really up to speed, or am I stagnating intellectually? Am I still learning, or am I just doing the same stuff on a different day? There was a song when I was younger by Otis Redding saying, sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. We don't want to be that. Back in 1902, Susan B. Anthony, the woman who really knew that women should have the right to vote, contemplated the changes after her own extraordinary life. She was 82 and slowing down. She said, there's so much yet to be done. I see so many things I would like to do and say, but I must leave it for the younger generation. We old fighters have prepared the way, and it's easier than it was 50 years ago when I first got into the harness. The young blood, she said, fresh with enthusiasm, must carry on the work. She must mean the class of 2011. We've done hard things before as a nation. We abolished slavery. We gave women and people of color the right to vote. We even got rid of don't ask, don't tell. Every time it took a terrible fight between people who could not imagine changing the rules. You're up to this test. You're from WSU, world-class, face-to-face, and you are prepared to take on the world. But let me finish with some words from Dr. Seuss, so that 50 years ago from now, you'll remember something that your graduation speaker said. Dr. Seuss, through his author, Theodore Seuss Geisel, I didn't know before that it wasn't just plain Dr. Seuss, but he has actually got a whole name, may have figured out life in pretty simple words. And upon examination, I think he wrote this just for you in his book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. He wrote, congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places, you're off and away. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you are the one who'll decide where to go. So be your name Boxbaum or Bixby or Bray or Mordecai, Ali, Van Allen, O'Shea. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is ready and waiting, so get on your way. Thank you. Good luck.